Welcome to the Be a Paid Speaker Now podcast. I'm your host and speaking coach, Deborah Deras, known as the top Latina peak performance speaker. This podcast is here to support you with strategies and best practices of paid speakers so you can find out what works and what doesn't, so you can achieve success with ease and grace in your speaking career. Enjoy the show. Are you always on the road speaking and your house is all alone collecting dust? Wouldn't it be nice to make some passive income while you're out speaking on the road? Well, I do. Want to know my secret? Airbnb. I use Airbnb to make some extra cash to reinvest in marketing for my speaking business. It's so simple. You just set up a listing and voila, you come home to money in your bank account on top of what you already made speaking. If you want to know more, go to the Be a Paid Speaker Now podcast.com to get all the information. Welcome back to another great episode of the Be a Paid Speaker Now podcast. I am so excited to have a very special person live in the studio. Whenever I have people live in the studio, I just get excited because I can feel their energy and it's like we're having the most delicious conversation and you are going to love it. But before we get started, I wanted to let you know that I have a 5 steps to be a paid speaker now webinar that you can download right now at deborahderas.com/speak now. It will tell you how to go from clarity to cash to be able to be a paid speaker. So now, without any further ado, I have a very, very special person who I have been friends with for quite a while and via social media connecting every single day. I'm her biggest fan on Instagram, I think. And it is Miss Lisa Gallegos. She is a Latina bilingual speaker on emotional intelligence, vicarious trauma, compassion fatigue, and secondary PTSD. She helps military and law enforcement and first responder wives to thrive in their challenging roles and embrace their warrior spirit. With over 16 years of coaching, training, and speaking at USC, you might have heard of it, and other educational institutions and organizations. She is our special guest host today to ask the questions that you have and have been dying to know. Welcome, Lisa.
Thank you, Deborah. Thank you so much for this opportunity. Like you said, we've known each other for a while, and I want to thank you on behalf of myself, but a lot of commuters out there love podcasts. I've been a commuter for a while, so I know you do the math. You drive an hour at least or 2 a day times 5 times a week. How much is that a month?
Oh my gosh.
That's a lot of time. So podcasts like this and the advice that you so genuinely just give voluntarily, it's amazing. And there's people out there that just love to listen to you. So thank you so much.
Oh, I love that. Thank you. Yeah. I mean, to me, it just, if you're driving, it's a waste of time if you're not listening to an Audible book or listening to a podcast because...
Absolutely.
Especially in Los Angeles, my
friends. Oh, yeah, absolutely. So without further ado, this is my first question. I think a lot of us want to know, when you're beginning your speaking career with technology out there, there's so much out there. So we have IG, right? We have IGTV now. There's YouTube. There's Facebook Live, and LinkedIn, and God knows whatever else is out there coming up. So what would you recommend for someone that's starting off? What should be their social platform at the beginning? Everything a little bit here and there, or what do you say?
I love this question because when I first began speaking, taught work-life balance, stress management, and then evolved into productivity and peak performance, helping people align for success. However, I am someone that loves social media marketing and have booked tons of speaking gigs with social media. So I started getting asked to speak at conferences on social media. And I was thinking like, I'm no social media guru. But then people kept saying, you're my goddess. You're my goddess. I'm like, oh, I can be your goddess. So I'm the SMG for short. So when I do social media workshops, especially for speakers, one of the things that I educate people on is when we think of the internet, people don't Yahoo it. They don't Bing it. What do? We
YouTube.
We Google it.
Google it. Yes,
We
you're right.
Google it, right? And when we think that Google owns the internet, they own YouTube. You're absolutely right. And so think about if you owned a bakery and you had blueberry muffins that your grandmother made and you got 100% of the profit, yet you have croissants that you buy from the person down the street. Which one are you going to push to the front? Grandmother's blueberry muffins. And that is what YouTube is. YouTube actually is the most important platform for speakers when they're wanting to get themselves booked paid gigs. Why do I say that? If you were to, and I've done this, I have Google Alerts for my name. I recommend all speakers. You go to google.com/alerts. Didn't I tell you this?
Yes.
Yeah, I did tell you this. And you could set like for the keywords Deborah Deras. And I look when my name comes up, and what comes up the very top is YouTube videos. And it's because Google makes money. Google ads are the same on Google and on YouTube. So because they're making money off that blueberry muffin, which is YouTube videos, they put it on top. This means us as speakers, we don't have to necessarily pay for Google ads, and I don't recommend it. I recommend the organic, natural posting, and our YouTube videos will come up without paying. We just need to learn how to tag the videos right, which is a whole other section which I could talk about. And actually in the show notes, there's a little plugin called YouTube Buddy. I haven't told you about this. This is new, which is basically the cheat sheet of how to optimize your YouTube videos. When I say optimize, you need to label them so that Google can put you in the right category. Search engine optimization is a fancy term for labeling. You know when you go to do taxes and you have to have your mileage in one folder, your entertainment in one folder, your education in another folder? When you label them, they're called tags on social media, then the search engines can find you. Why is this important? I booked, I'll tell my secret, a huge contract with a company. It sounds like Horizon. It's a cell phone company. You know, it's called Verizon. And they found me on YouTube by typing Latina speaker. And this contract that I got that was for 10 hours was literally the equivalent of 1 year's salary on my day job. Hello.
Wow.
That was a lot of money for me. I was like, oh my God. And I got to speak alongside Eva Longoria, who was on Desperate Housewives at the time. And it was just like, oh my goodness. Part of speaking is honing your craft, being a great speaker, being dynamic, being charismatic. But the other part of speaking, which is a big part, you know, I tell you this, is the marketing and being visible, being discoverable, and being found. So I highly recommend at least having one YouTube video, which is like your sizzle reel.
Okay.
And if you don't have a sizzle reel yet, I'm doing my sizzle reel later today, my new one. I've had 4 in my 17-year career. But the sizzle reel is just highlights of all the best of you speaking. But you could just have a speech, like a 2-minute snippet of your best speech. And it's labeled veteran, woman, trauma, all those keywords, PTSD,
Right.
bilingual, Latina speaker, all of that, so that when people are looking for you, they're going to go to Google most likely. They're not going to go to YouTube, but your YouTube video is going to come up because there's no other vicarious, trauma, Latina, bilingual speaker like you, Lisa.
Ooh la la.
Ooh la la. Yes.
See, this is why I love Deborah so much, because you give freely your secrets, your advice, all these tips. And that's why you're so successful. That's why I believe you're so successful, because you give so much that so much comes back in return. So I'm just so happy to be here, and I'm so grateful for all of your little nuggets of advice, which leads me to the next question. So we're always talking about aligning with, right? Aligning with those people in our lives that are going to build us up in personal life and business. And so what do you do, or how do you deal with partnerships that no longer synergize?
Ooh, this is such a good one. And I have to tell you, I co-wrote this book, Confessions of an Adrenaline Addict, with a partner. When I first started my business, I had a coaching company called Passionate Living Now to help people be abundant doing what they love. And I realized that coaching wasn't really scalable, that it involved me being one-on-one. And it was like having a job, but this time I was working for myself. And because I was an adrenaline addict and there were no hours on the door, I literally was working 24/7 and still feeling like I wasn't making a dent in my to-do list. Because as a business owner, you're the CFO, you're the CEO, you're the COO, you're the CMO, you're PR, you're social media, you're everything. So it was just overwhelming, right? Yeah. And so I said it would be easier if I had a partner. The right partner. Not that this partner wasn't the right partner, but it was very challenging us working together because she had an autoimmune disorder and was sick. And eventually we ended up parting ways. But what benefited me in having the partnership is every week we would do a visioning session. So we talk about the outer work of marketing, but I truly believe that to align for success, that the most important work is the inner work. Is to really do the inner work. And we would do these visioning processes where we would say, what is the vision for our business? This is from the book Life Visioning. You can write down these questions if you want. There's 4 questions. What is the vision for my speaking business? Who am I to be to allow this speaking business to be fully activated? Who am I to be? And it could be courageous. I'm to be authentic. I'm to be vulnerable, whatever those words, and we'd write them down. What do I need to let go of? And it would be like playing small, second guessing. And, we wrote it down. What are the inspired actions we can take? And I remember we were doing these visionings, and it's not like visualization where you're imagining. Right. It's literally you're allowing what I call divine downloads to drop in, not from your subconscious mind, but from your superconscious mind, which is genius potential. It's the field that we're all tapped into, that one mind. And she and I were asking, like, what is the vision for our company? And we wrote it down. I get chills just thinking about it. We wrote the same thing, Lisa.
Wow.
It was crazy. We literally wrote the same words, and then we're like, I don't know if you could see the globe down here. There's a globe with the infinity symbol. And we both drew a picture of what the vision was, and we drew the same thing. That's how you know the infinite connection, right? And so it was wonderful to have her because when we were visioning, we were always working. We were booking gigs like with the city of Riverside to train their entire staff. It was like a $25,000 gig. And we'd book gig after gig after gig after gig. But eventually the partnership was, we couldn't go forward because she couldn't speak. Oh. So it was like a 50-50 partnership, but I was marketing and speaking. So eventually we realized, both of us, and how you know something is not aligned is because it feels heavy or contracted, right? Yeah. It feels like a dark energy, right? It just, it doesn't feel good. If something is aligned, it feels light, it feels expanded, it feels just vital, right? It feels like life. Alignment feels like life, which is lightness. And so eventually we had to have a difficult conversation, which we have to do often in the speaking business. I have to have some difficult conversations with some corporations that owe me money. Let me not say 3 letters of a network. I won't say it. So there's a certain network that owes me money. You can do the math and figure it out. I'm not going to say it. So anyway, we have to have these difficult conversations where we say, the vision for the business is this, and we're moving along, but I don't feel we're on the same path. And yes, we could still be friends, and that's the hard thing when you become friends and part ways. But it was really, really challenging because when we were in partnership, it was like she was my wife. Like people say your partner, right. Like, oh, Deborah, I didn't know you had a partner. I'm like, not like that. But it was like being married to her. We had a bank account together. I spent more time with her than even my husband because we were constantly, traveling together. Sure. But when it comes to a point where it doesn't grow both parties, it's not serving either one to stay together. So some partnerships are for a season, some are for a lifetime. And when it comes to a point, end it before it gets painful.
That is excellent advice. That is. And part of the growing process is letting go and moving forward. And sometimes that means it's not with the people that you started with.
Right.
So now talking about...
can I mention one thing? And sometimes when you become that next level speaker that maybe you didn't even have the vision for yourself as being, there will be friends, there will be colleagues in your life that fall away. And that's perfectly okay. Because not everyone can see you shine in your light and be happy for you. People that are not happy with themselves will project on you and then try to make you feel bad because no one can make you feel bad, but they could try. So it's really important when friendships fall away and they're not supportive, that's fine. Just let it go.
Yeah, it's like that Taylor Swift song.
Oh, I don't know. Tell me.
People like to throw rocks at things that shine.
Oh.
Yeah. Good to know.
I'm not up on the Taylor Swift. I'm sorry, Fred.
Well, talking about success and La Dulce Vida, I heard, a little birdie told me, that Miss Deborah Deras is going to be going to Italy and speaking in Italy. So my next question is, how do you land those international speaking opportunities? Tell me about that.
Well, I am so blessed because I have a friend, the jcmarie.com. And she, I was just, one of the things that I know about synergy and I know about alignment, synergy, which my company is Synergy Unlimited, is the whole is greater than the sum of the parts. It's not that we're better together. It's that all of us collectively collaborating and supporting each other to go to the next level, we all rise higher. That's the key with synergy. And the best, most of the speakers that I talk to, besides word of mouth, they are getting bookings from other speakers. That's why I recommended you go to the National Speakers Association, right, so that you can network with other professional speakers who say, oh my goodness, you speak on PTSD? Right. I just had someone at this conference that is looking for someone. Let me refer you. Because they're already out there getting paid to speak. Mm-hmm. So JC and I were talking about her speaking in Italy, and I literally, it was like 2 days before she was leaving on a trip, and I was like, I have to get on a plane and go with you. And I couldn't because it was like 2 days later. I was like, oh, but maybe I could go to the next retreat. And I said, well, if they're looking for a speaker, I would love to speak. And this is something that is really important as a professional and paid speaker. You can't be scared to ask for business or ask for referrals. Mm-hmm. And also, not just from your colleagues, but from places that you've booked gigs with. So once you book a gig speaking somewhere, like say you're going to be doing a retreat somewhere, you could offer to do a webinar follow-up, or you can offer for them to purchase your online coaching program, right? Because speaking, this is what I didn't know, Lisa. I have to tell you what I didn't know. I have to tell you everything.
Tell me everything.
You and everyone. I thought, okay, you speak, you get a gig, and then the gigs just keep coming. But what I realized is speaking sometimes is a one-time transaction. You're the keynote speaker of a conference, and they don't want you back again, right? Not because they don't like you, they want a fresh new face. Mm-hmm. So it's so important for us to keep that recurring business going. And one of the things that I did wrong when I first started that I'm doing right now is having a good client relationship management system. So that the people that loved you, because I believe it or not, when I first started, it was Minnesota all the time. Mankato was my friend, Minnesota State University. I was always there. I went back 5 times to Minnesota. Mm-hmm. Not because I love the snow, but the people that were there were amazing because I kept in contact. I kept following up. This gig that I did that was in, where was I? Kansas? Oh, no, Connecticut. Sorry. I was in Connecticut. We literally, after the speaking gig, became friends. We took a trip to Miami. We stayed at the Ritz-Carlton. O.J. Simpson was at our pool. We're like, ah! But the point is, you keep the relationships with the people that book you to speak, so it's not transactional. Because the best way to get more business is to have repeat business, is to have the people that already love you, that already know that you're good, have you back. And maybe they won't have you back as the keynote speaker, but they'll have you back as a breakout speaker so that you can return. But you have to stay at the top of their mind. One way to do that is through your newsletter. Another way, especially with corporate, I wanted to say this when you asked the first question, is LinkedIn. So Fortune 500 companies, when I spoke at JP Morgan, when I spoke at General Electric, when I spoke at British Petroleum, how they communicate and where they look is LinkedIn. So if you are a professional speaker and you want to do corporate work, you're leaving money on the table if you're not actively having a strategy on LinkedIn. And that's why I created that LinkedIn for Speakers video that I gave you guys in the mastermind, because it's so valuable to use LinkedIn.
Thank you for going back to that. I was going to ask you that too. Now, Deborah, you're always looking so gorgeous. Now, when I first met you, I think your color was like a turquoise blue. Now you're mixing it up a little bit more. So, what is your process of looking and picking out your outfits for an event or a webinar? Or what are you thinking about? The audience, the topic? What's going through your mind? Because you're always looking fabulous.
Well, I've been wearing turquoise and teal because, that's my color. The reason I wear turquoise and teal because I love Miami and I love the Caribbean. So I am trying to look like an ocean wave. And recently, one of my dear beloved friends passed away, and yellow was her favorite color. Oh. And she loved the sun and she loved sunshine. So because I have gold in my colors, I started adding yellow and gold. But if you notice, I still always am on the same color spectrum. So blue, green, and gold, unless, and I made this mistake, which you won't make, unless you're a spokesperson for a brand, then you're supposed to wear their colors. I didn't realize this until like 3/4 of a way into my contract, because I'm wearing blue, I'm wearing green, I'm wearing gold, and I'm realizing this brand color is red. I need to be, but they didn't say anything. One of the things I found out in corporate America, which I don't love, is they won't say it to your face what they want. They'll be like, everything's fine. And then behind your back, they'll say something and then not hire you again. Mm-hmm. So what I've learned to do as a smart businesswoman is to ask for feedback and to say, did you want me to wear this? Did you want me to say this? Did you want me to look like this? Especially when I'm a spokesperson representing somebody else's brand. Mm-hmm. For my brand, I could be blue, green, yellow all day long. But for other people, I need to represent them. And the other thing, when it comes to like makeup and hair, like today I had my makeup done. Ooh la la, what do you think, friends? So, and I have a program like here where for $79 a month, I get a full makeup every month. Oh, pretty cool, nice. Right? That's also, really you could, for those of you that are on the run, you don't have a makeup artist with you, places like Sephora and MAC, if you buy like $50, $75 worth of makeup, will do your makeup. But it's important to always look your best, especially when you're on stage, because you're the talent. And you're representing not only you, your company, your brand, but I believe I'm representing the brand that hired me. I want to be so in alignment with their vision, their mission, their words. I even ask it on my pre-event questionnaire, what are the sayings you say? And what do you want me to wear? Is it business casual? Is it regular casual? So I look like I'm one of their employees. So people, when I'm speaking, feel like I'm one of them. I'm not like the outside consultant, that I'm inside.
Yes, and I will be a testimony to that, because when I first met you, you were a keynote speaker at an organization that I used to work with. And you spoke to, the majority were teachers and then administration. So the feedback from that was that everyone felt that you had been a teacher before. Oh. And so you really connected, and whatever you're doing, it works. So keep doing that. Keep doing that. And it also reminds me, if you're at a Trojan USC game, you are not going to wear Bruin.
Oh, no. Oh,
so
no.
Please don't.
Lisa knows that I'm my goal, my vision, my intention is to get my PhD in organizational leadership. I'm going to be a Trojan. I'm going on tour, I think, next week. I'm doing a webinar. I don't know if I'm going to start in January, but I'm really excited about it.
Yes. Trojans. My last question. What is if you could just give someone advice, just one advice to an upcoming speaker, what is your most valuable advice to that person?
Ooh, I'm glad you asked this. So my most valuable advice is to know and to own that you are a messenger for the message. That it really isn't your ego that's on the stage. It's not the sage on the stage and that you're the rock star. It's that there is some lesson that you had in your life. There's some insight, whether it's through your education or through your life experience, that has given you some knowledge and wisdom, and that your soul's contract, if you choose to accept it, is to spread that and to be a beneficial presence on this planet, to really transform lives. And so when you think about, because I spoke at Caltech, I'm like, oh my God, these people are all geniuses. And I spoke at JPL, and I spoke at NASA, and I spoke to the Navy and to the Marines and to Supreme Court bankruptcy court judges. And I'm like, who am I to speak? And it goes back to the Marianne Williamson is, who are you not to? Our deepest fear is that who am I to be beautiful, fantastic, gorgeous, sassy as well? You can add to it. But, who are we not to shine our light? That when we shine our light on that stage, we liberate others. Like maybe I said something on the stage that opened something up in you, and then you say something, and then you say something, and that we have that ability through our voice. But when we know it's not from us, but through us, it takes so much pressure off. Because I remember when I was married, when I first started to speak, I would stress every time I would go to speak. And my husband was like, if you're going to be in this business and every time you're going to speak, you're going to freak out, you're never going to last. You can't be anxious. You have to know that and what I know because of my spiritual practice is that it's God speaking through me. It's not me. I am simply the face and the mouth. But I am the messenger for the message. You are the messenger for the message. And when you know that, you just go out there and do it. That fear melts like butter in a frying pan or coconut oil into excitement and enthusiasm, and you can do whatever you want to do. That's my advice.
That is amazing. Drop it. Thank you, Deborah. We couldn't end it in a better note. That's just amazing. Thank you for all of your wonderful advice.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Can't wait to have you back as a guest as well, coming soon.
Yes.
And thank you all for tuning in. If you want to be a guest host, just write me. I'd love to hear from you. You could go ahead and give a 5-star review on iTunes, or you can message me on Instagram. I'm Latina speaker, Deborah Deras, and I would love to have you on the show. And remember, with the power of synergy, anything is possible. Thank you for tuning into the Be a Paid Speaker Now podcast. If you want to be a paid speaker right now, you can download the 5 steps to get started as a paid speaker right on my website. Just go to deborahderas.com/speak now. And remember, with the power of synergy, anything is possible.